Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here and we're back with another West Coast Racers construction update thanks to our good pal John. And you can see what we were asking about the other day has finally been answered. That is actually where the control booth will be. But this is actually from a couple days ago. You can see that side paneling all finished up and they will most likely be washing that down in a little bit of time. But you can see that the operating panel will be in that little outlook section, which is really interesting, but I'm sure that's just to get a better view of the first and third launches to make sure everything can go smoothly. You can also see some of the other trains placed on the second and fourth launches over in the trench, as well as some cars placed in the first and third as well. And we will continue on with that theme a little later on in this video because there are, I believe, all of the cars on the track, which should be very interesting to see what they do with that in the next couple days. But just looking at the station right here, you can actually see that they were working on the front side of the station right then and there with the little cherry picker that's up on the front facade, which does actually look quite different compared to what I was expecting as of right now. But they're going to add tons more detail work on top of every one of those panels that are on each of the sides of the station building. But moving on a little bit ahead, you can see more of the cherry picker work and everything working around the clock on the site, especially that panel going up, as well as some executives walking across the area. But you can see a giant panel going onto the front facade of the station building, which we're just going to speed through a little bit right here. But everything is looking absolutely gorgeous so far. But speaking of potentially a closer look, let's dive right into that with West Coast Customs' Instagram story from a couple days ago, and you can see that inside the station is pretty much complete, at least for structural work. You can also see the spiral staircase that will take you up to the second level that just passed by, which should be awesome, and it is reminiscent of the spiral staircase in the custom shop itself in Burbank, California. But you can see everything is looking awesome, including a new paint job going across that new cinder block wall that will be on the side of the queue area itself, and that will be spray painted over if the concept art has anything to tell us. But now moving on to November 8th, woohoo! We can see that more cars have been placed on the track, as well as tarps have been placed over each and every one of the cars, which is really interesting to see, especially considering none of those cars, at least as of yesterday, had their bodies on them. And what I mean by that is that West Coast Customs have made detailed body work for each of the trains and each of the cars that can be interchanged, and we have not seen those put onto the cars themselves as of yet. But another thing that's huge, you can see that they are working on finishing up the roof work, which should be awesome and should be done within the next couple days. Considering they've gotten that far in about 24 to 48 hours is pretty insane already. Jetstream is still closed, by the way, I'm pretty sure, for maintenance work, but you could also see some more work going on in the station, especially for the gates, as well as the panel has moved a bit again to look diagonally on top of the first launch pretty much, which I think will be a better viewpoint to be able to turn with a little more ease to see into the station to see if they are ready to dispatch or not. You could also see some spare railings that will be going along, I'm sure, some staircases in the future, but lots of station work still going on. And as you can see, the panels are still quite a bit dusty, but those will be washed off in the next couple days, if not within the next week, I'm sure, just to make sure everything looks beautiful before they put all the extra detailing work that they're going to in the future. You can also see this big piece of metal right here. I'm not entirely sure what that is for. Oh, it's got to be for the roof. Who am I kidding? Is being pulled up with a crane over to the station roof itself, and we'll kind of speed through this just a little bit. But it's super interesting to see all this work being done so incredibly quickly, as well as the go-karts getting some more paint work going on as of right now. As you can see, a guy literally painting the station in that shot right there. But considering how quick they were able to put on that panel for the roof, hopefully they will be done with the roof by either tomorrow night or even tonight. But tonight might be getting my hopes up a little too much, but we'll just have to wait and see. The construction crews have been doing an incredible job as of late, especially with the station going up at a much quicker pace than we were ever expecting. But here's a look into the trenches real quick to see those extra 2 cars that have been covered up with tarp. And I'm really interested to see why that is the case besides potential weather damage, but we're not slated to get rain, at least for a little while here in Southern California. So maybe it's just to protect against dust or other weather elements or some other reason that I can't really think of. But here's more of those roof panels going in right here. And the station building is looking like an almost completed building, at least from these 3 sides. Now, if the concept art is anything to show, the front facade will obviously be decorated to the max, but on the sides, there will most likely only be a giant W on the launch side, and on the brake side, I don't remember there being any major detail pieces, but of course, we'll just have to wait and see for that. But besides that, tons of work going on in the area right now. But I think the biggest thing really is the fact that at least 5 of the 7 cars are on the track as of right now. But it'll be really interesting to see what ends up happening with all of those cars, especially being covered in tarps, and what they'll do in the next coming days. They have to make sure all the stators are aligned, or the LSM fins that will be launching and propelling the trains throughout the circuit. And once that's all figured out and the panel is fully installed, we should see testing hopefully within the next couple weeks. But I just want to say a huge thanks to John for getting this footage for us. It means the world. And make sure to go show him some love in the comments below if you can. But everything is looking great so far, and I cannot wait to go and experience the ride in its entirety, hopefully by the end of the year. But make sure to subscribe if you haven't, because we're going to have tons more West Coast Racers updates, as well as tons of other videos about everything park related in Southern California. But until next time, we'll see you on the next ride.